um, all right, so let's go ahead and kick this off, and we'll see how we can get it going. Like I said, I want to keep this short and sweet. Um, and thanks everybody for showing up. What we're gonna do tonight here is just have a little bit of a Q&A. I've got a friend that I've been playing games with, and probably people that watch the stream have heard him in the background at some point in time, either yelling profanities at me or telling me how bad I am at a game. So we have a really good relationship. I've known him since high school, and it was one of those deals where I think in high school, if correct me if I'm wrong, Satori, but we never played any games together.
It didn't start happening more and more until, just started coming to your house, hanging out with, a couple of our other friends, and then your younger brother, and then it just kind of, just kind of happened from there. But we played Halo occasionally, and when it first came out. But other than that, yeah, it didn't really start happening more and more until, I don't know what, about 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I started playing PC together.
Yeah, I guess it was 2 years ago. That's about right. So again, I'm here tonight because I've been talking about this game Pantheon for God, how long has it been now? A year plus? I don't know.
A while.
Yeah. I don't know, but Satori's had to listen to me talk about it for a while, and I've not really ever sat down and explained it to him. So, we were talking the other day, and I was asking him if he's willing to play with me, and he was like, "Well, I don't really know anything about it because I haven't really been told or looked into it." And then Pantheon sent out the post of how do you tell a friend about Pantheon, and it kind of got this idea in my head where it was, well, how can I tell a friend, and how can I make it to where maybe it'll help other people out as well. So I figured, you know what? I'm just going to wing it. I'm going to not really prepare anything, come in here and see what we can put together. And then I just happened to talk to Yarn. So Yarn's with us tonight from Voice of Terminus. And he's going to help me out with this just a little bit. We're going to make this pretty short and sweet. But I just want to kind of open it up and ask Satori a few questions to kind of get to know what his gaming background is. Because like I said, we really didn't play that much together growing up. I've known him for years. It's been what, almost 12
10 11,
at least
12 years.
Yeah, like 12 years now that we've known each other, but I've really never known his gaming history. So I wanted to start it out and just kind of get a little bit of a background on what you know and what you think you know at least, and then go from there. So as far as like Pantheon goes, do you know anything about it besides like this, like small details? Like what do you know exactly?
So, all I really know is a little bit that I've heard here and there from you talking about your discussions. I've chimed in on, kind of lurked around on some of your discussions that you've had here recently. And, just talking about different, a little bit of the lore, a little bit of the classes and the races and stuff that are going to be used for it, other than knowing that it's, supposed to be a huge MMO RPG. I don't really know a whole lot about it.
Okay. I see you have some fans saying that you can't keep it short.
Yeah.
That's all right. We got somebody else in here that knows how to keep it short too.
All right, now.
Sacred.
All right. This is all right. So we're gonna. You know what? I don't think you need to play the game. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, it's not for you, man.
Yeah, it's not gonna work. All right. So I have two more questions I want to ask you. I kind of wrote these down. Okay. So another question is, as far as like games you played in the past, because I like to relate games to Pantheon in some way, shape, or form. Like, do you have games that you played in the past that are anything like an MMO, or have you played MMOs in the past, or?
So a big game that I don't know if you really call it an MMO. I played Diablo 2 for I can't even tell you how many years. I played it, and then eventually our mutual friend Nico kind of was like, "Hey man, we're playing World of Warcraft. Like, you should try it out." And I'm like, I don't know, maybe not really for me. But I went ahead and gave it a shot and tried it out, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed playing with your brother and Nico, and kind of got into a little bit into the game. Like I never really got too in depth into the game. Like it was just something that me and Nico would do every once in a while. Never really got into the whole raiding thing or anything like that. But I enjoyed the downtime on World of Warcraft. And I mean, as far as those games go, those are really the only two games that I would say that I really played like that, other than, dabbling in like PoE, Path of the Exile, and stuff like that, if you want to consider them kind of, an RPG. It's definitely an RPG, but not as, I guess, not on as a big scale as like World of Warcraft or what Pantheon assume is going to be.
Okay. Okay, so was there anything in? We'll go with World of Warcraft because I think that's probably about as close as we can get to Pantheon when it comes to MMOs. However, if you ask any true Pantheon fan, they will say it is not close in the least bit. So, but that's about as close as we can get. So we'll go with that. So, is there anything within WoW that you really enjoyed or that you really didn't enjoy? Like, is there something that was like a huge turnoff every time it came up while you were playing, or is there something that was every time you got on you look forward to at night?
So I don't know. I kind of really enjoyed going through like dungeons, and obviously the constant grind for the loot and stuff, and constantly improving. Like I like just that mentality, which is pretty much, it's the mentality in any type of game like that. It's always building your character stronger, building, getting better items. I I think the thing that really kind of turned me off was before the add-ons and stuff came on, where it was like, all right, here's a quest. Now go find this, and it's like it's in the northeast corner of this, and then it's just like, okay, well now I got to go try to find something that I know nothing about. So it's like, go pick these flowers, and I don't know where to find them. And that's where it kind of got frustrating for me, because if I don't know what I'm looking for, how am I supposed to find it? And I think, I think it's more of a, that's where the community of the game is supposed to kind of come in, and I never really tapped into that. So I think, maybe if I came at it at a different angle, that it would probably have been a little bit more enjoyable because of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. So, okay, well let me go about this way then. So Yarn, I'm gonna look over to you and I'm gonna say, here's my thing. So I know you know a ton about Pantheon. I can skip that question for you. But I do want to ask you, as far as like past games that you've played. I know that you've played a lot of MMOs, and could you highlight? We'll just stick with one or two if you would like. Could you highlight one or two that you played in the past, and like what were the things that you saw in those that maybe I don't want to say are the same of what Satori had there, but just if you could just kind of keep it short to what you saw in those that you really liked and didn't like, and what you think is going to be different about Pantheon. I hate to put you on the spot. Hopefully that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine, man.
All right.
Well, I haven't played that many. Actually, I was exclusive for 12 years in EverQuest 2. That was actually my very first MMO that I even played, and the beginning game and the first 2-3 expansions, all the way up to Echoes of Fade, were pretty cool. I just like the fact that the way the character design was made up, that all the tanks could tank, all the healers could heal. It wasn't set on, this is the best tank and this is the best healer and this is the best mage and this is the best scout. So everybody had their uniqueness and functionality in the groups, and it was a group-centric game of something that relates to Pantheon. Later on down the road, obviously, they made a lot of changes. World of Warcraft came out, and that kind of put them on the spot, losing valuable players and all that stuff. And it kind of, what drove me away from that game is, after playing it for like 8-9 years and realizing that every year, almost to the same date, a new expansion comes out. Everything you've done prior to that you can throw away, because you got to go and grind the new stuff and go through all the dungeons, the raids to get all the new gear. It was rinse and repeat, and it kind of got boring. And that's something that I kind of hope that Pantheon will prevent happening. That they will take their time with expansions and offer us in-depth things to do within the world, to immerse into the world, not want to rush ahead and have to look at our watches, oh, I've got to look at the calendar, oh, in a couple of months the next expansion's coming out. I hope they really take their time with that, and the way they're designing approaches to the game, I think it's looking like that. I think that they're heading in the right direction, and all the unique tools that they offer, perception, the progeny, the behavior system, the acclimation system. They've got so many systems in the game and ideas in the pipeline that will not want to make me rush ahead, be one of the top, highest players from the get-go. I've got no reason to rush, and I want to explore this world that VR are creating. Another game that kind of sparked a liking to me was actually Terror Rising. I'm a Korean grinder of sorts, more towards the action combat, so away from the tab targeting. There's some really cool potential in that game. And the thing that drove me there, that drove me away from that, was the community. A very, very toxic, unpolite, unpleasant community. But the game itself had a lot of potential, and it kind of fell short. But yeah, no short answers here.
Well, no, and I'm in the same boat with you when it comes to short answers. So for myself, one of the things that I heard with both answers there was, one thing that Satori didn't tap into was the community, and it ended up causing him frustration in the game. He didn't really feel like he was a part of anything, had nothing to really potentially stick around for, because no one cared if he was there or not, or at least no one was there to kind of help him when he needed help. So again, didn't have that support system, didn't have that community kind of there helping and really making a difference in the game for him. And then on the other hand, get into a game and literally the community is the complete opposite. You don't want to be a part of that community. You don't want to tap into it because it's negative in every aspect you can find, and it doesn't make sense because it's something that you don't want to be a part of. So
Exactly.
So for me, when I look at Pantheon, there's a few things. I will say one, for Satori's sake, and Pantheon is not for everybody. I'll be straight up about that, and I think every true Pantheon fan will be honest about that as well. Pantheon is not a game that everyone's going to get into and enjoy. So it is what it is. But for people like me, I used to get into Quest and EverQuest where you would just happen to stumble across some words, and then all of a sudden you have to go figure out how to go or where to go, and you don't even go to the northeast corner. You go find this, and you're like, well, where's that at? Okay, all right, well, I guess I'll go figure it out. Luckily, though, for me in EverQuest, I did have a community in place that I could ask questions. Hey, where's these belts at? I don't know where these orc belts are. Where are they at? Oh, they're over here. Okay, great. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. It was pretty open. Everybody was pretty they would communicate with you pretty openly. And we held ourselves in check as far as the community goes. It was a pretty tight-knit group. Everybody seemed to be on board, and I was a young kid at the time. So this was a really cool experience for me. When I got into WoW in 2004 and played that for years and years, at first, WoW kind of had that same mentality, because a lot of players that came from EverQuest came over into WoW with that same mentality, that it's you want to be a part of the community, you want to be a part of the game, you want to really dive into every single person that's there, finding people that to the extent where if I wasn't on for 2 nights, I was getting an email or something, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? Is everything good? Just checking in, we didn't see you tonight type deal. And that was really neat, because it meant that I knew every night that I got on, I had people that were excited, or at least acted excited, that I was online. And I did the same for other people as well. I'd see somebody log on and I was excited they logged on. I would let them know that. So it was a really neat experience in that aspect. Now, over the years, WoW faded away from that and became a little more mainstream. And as it became mainstream, it became kind of more dumbed down. And that community, that tight knit, that having to lean on each other aspect of the game kind of faded away. And that's when I faded away as well. So when I look at Pantheon, again, it comes down to a few things for me, but one is challenge of the game. I like a game, and I don't know about Diablo 2 because I didn't play it enough, but I can say for me, when I look at a game, I look at a challenge. Is it challenging? Is it going to actually cause me to be engaged in the game, or is it going to be just numb? Am I going to be numb going through it? I'm not going to have any feeling towards it. It's just going to be whatever. Another quest, another mob, another pool of 1,000 things, and nothing's going to kill me. Or am I just going to like do the same content over and over and over and over again with no progression or no feeling of progression? Or, again, I feel numb in those aspects. For me, Pantheon is going to bring back some of that grind, but at the same time, it looks to me that they're going to bring back that feeling of I'm actually progressing. Even though this is tough, it takes a long time, I'm progressing. And on top of all that, the experience is they're looking to make me do it with other people. They're looking to make me bring myself into the community, into a group, and really be a part of something bigger than myself. And that's what makes me excited about the game, is playing with other people, having friends, having other people online that I've never met in person that I get to know on a very, personal level almost. And that are excited to see me log on and things like that. So that's kind of where my mind goes when I think of, well, what am I excited about in Pantheon? What's really drawing me into the game? And it's really the community that I'm going to be playing with, because the game is geared towards driving that community together and things like that. So again, that was kind of a broad overview, but Yarn, is there anything you want to add on to that?
Well, that's the thing though. It's called an MMO for a reason. And community does matter. If we look at the past communities from EverQuest 2, Vanguard, they all have something in common with, Pantheon. It's a community that shines from the get-go. I've never met a toxic community within the EverQuest community, Vanguard community, or anything like that. And if we look at the community now, even though the game's not here, how we've all come together, we're chatting, we're discussing ideas, we're doing streams, and having people on talking, and the game's not even around. That shows what kind of community this game really has. And you're absolutely right saying that Pantheon's not going to be something for everybody. It's a niche product, and that's the big difference between the mainstream games like World of Warcraft. They kind of basically set a precedent for everybody else who wanted a piece of the cake, and we have 1,000 carbon copies out on the market currently, and that's not something that a lot of old school people don't want that anymore. They want that challenge and the bonding, the kind of forcing you into going outside your box and talking to strangers. So yeah.
So, Satori, I'll look to you and ask the question, is there anything that you can think of that we might be able to help you answer, like about the game? Any thought, like, is there something that you would like to know a little bit more in detail, or is there anything that we might be able to describe to you that will help you understand even what the game is?
Okay, so what makes Pantheon so different from, I hate to continue to go back to it, but World of Warcraft, like what's there? Like, what do they bring to the table that's different than going on a quest and returning the quest and continuing on doing that over and over again? Because you said something about the repetition and continuing on and everything, but in all reality, yeah, they may not be the same quests, but you're going to continuously get a quest, do a quest, get your experience, so on and so forth, correct?
So I'll take this one, and Yarn, I'll let you take the next question if we have one. All right, so here's the best way I can put it. in EverQuest, what you had in EverQuest, and even though the name of it implies that, yeah, there's going to be a lot of questing, it really wasn't like that. It was more of, let me get in a group and run to a dungeon or run to an area and start fighting and just pull things, kill things, find loot. I guess in my limited experience with Diablo, kind of that mentality of there wasn't really a quest. You just went into the area and started looking for things to kill and find your way through the area so that you could, find loot. And from that loot, you would then potentially get some upgrades or items, and experience on top of that. But you're finding a group of people that you're going to be, exploring the land with, exploring the areas with, and just more or less fighting your way through the game. It's not going to be the WoW mentality of go to the city, get 12 quests, go out, do the 12 quests, go turn 12 quests in, go to the next city, get 20 quests, go out, do 20 quests, come turn 20 quests in, get 10 more quests, go out and do 10 more quests, turn. It's not that mentality. Instead, it's a mentality of the game is open to you, and there's not really a quote unquote guide through the game. It's not a linear path. It's more of a horizontal path. They want you to explore the game. They want you to go about and just find things on your own, figure things out. They don't want to guide you there. And part of that is, and I see they put it in there, no quest hubs. Yeah, that's a big part of the game. It's not you going to a bunch of different NPCs and finding a ton of quests to go do. No one's going to hold your hand or guide you to go kill orcs or go into a dungeon and complete go kill the boss in a dungeon. No one's going to guide you to do that. That's just going to be something that you and a group of, let's say 5 of your friends get together and go, well, let's go find something to kill. Let's go find something to do, to explore. And as you're exploring that land, you're gathering potentially maybe crafting material. You're gathering loot for, upgrades. You're just working your way through that land and through that area to figure out what's there. So in that sense of what's different, it's not going to be here's a quest, go complete this quest, and by the time you get done with all these quests in this area, you should be able to go to the next area because you should be at that level. It's more of there's no one holding your hand. A quest is something that you happen to stumble upon, and it's not even, I won't even call it a quest. It's more of a job in Pantheon. And, so I think of quest more like jobs, more like, hey, I've got some pesky orcs out in my garden, roughing things up. Can you go kill a few orcs, bring me back some belts, and I'll reward you for each belt you bring me back. Or it's hey, the guards in the city need to have their armor, again, they need to have their armor rebuilt, or they need to have their armor replenished because it's getting a little bit rusty and worn out. So if you can go gather these certain materials and bring them back to me, I'll reward you for the materials you bring back that are, I'll give you city rep or something like that, and experience, so that, it's going to be beneficial to you, but it's not going to be hey, as soon as you get done with this, I'm going to have another quest for you. Hey, as soon as you get done with this, I'm going to send you to another city to do another quest line. There's none of that kind of mentality. It's more of a mentality of, okay, what level am I? Well, I need to go figure out what area, might be in that area, or that level area. And potentially I might find some quests. I might find some quests by talking to NPCs, or I might find some quests by a perception that triggers me to go talk to an NPC, and that's a whole nother thing in itself. But there's a system called the perception system, which is something of a storyline, that it's going to help you identify some key things in the game that you might not have realized at first. It's going to help you uncover some things that you wouldn't be able to uncover without it. And it's going to really help you dive into the lore of the game, utilizing the perception system more so than not. So there's a few aspects in that way, but does that make sense that there's not going to be quote unquote a quest chain or quest hub every place you go that gets you all the experience and gear and items and loot that you need to go to the next area? Instead, it's going to be, you might find a job here or there that'll help you out, but it's not really the main focus of that area. The main focus of that area is literally just for you to go out, explore it, and level up as you're exploring it, with a group of individuals as well.
So then I guess my next question is, so if there is no more or less quest line, I guess, for the best way to put it, how do you know when you're done in a certain area or you need to go to a different area, so on and so forth? Is it all, I mean, there has to be different areas are obviously for different level, I guess, characters or whatever. Like, how do you know? How do you know that stuff? How do you know exactly, what it is you're supposed to be doing next, I guess?
So I'll answer this real quick and then let Jarn jump in here to kind of give some more information on this. Um, so basically, it's I don't want to say gut feeling, but it's a gut feeling. It's, hey guys, I think this content's getting a little easy for us. Let's go find something else. Like I said, no one's telling you that you have to leave that area. You can stay there for as long as you want. And you may be still having fun there and exploring there, and there's nothing wrong with you staying there. But it may get to where you're starting to pull a little bit larger groups. You're starting to run through without really paying attention. You're not really fearing getting overwhelmed at any point in time. Or you're just simply gathering items or gaining loot that's not really upgrading your gear. It's not really giving you a lot of experience to kill the mobs you're killing. So you're like, okay, well, let's go find something harder. And so it's kind of a gut feeling. It's one of those, and that's the way it was in EverQuest as well. You would just start killing things, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm not really getting experience for this, and there's got to be something out there that's more my level, that's some better experience, better loot for me. Let's go find it. And that's literally what you did. You just went and found it. Of course, you might have an idea, but unlike WoW, something in Pantheon that's really neat is each one of the zones is it's not level capped or level limited in any way, meaning you could be in a level, let's say level 5 to 10 zone, you think, and you're running around killing monsters, creatures, NPCs, whatever, in that level range, and all of a sudden you turn around a tree and there's a level 40 camp of orcs sitting there. Now they're going to wipe the floor with you if you go engage them, and there might be a group of level 40 plus characters that are there fighting with them, but you can't engage that. That's going to be part of Pantheon, where you can turn a corner and all of a sudden the level went from where you were at level 9 maybe, to now it's level 40, and you're going, whoa, I can't be there, so I got to find another way around that. Obviously you can't go that direction. You've got to find a way around, or you got to go a different direction. So again, each one of the zones is not going to be unique to a certain level cap. There is going to be kind of some, I guess you could say, some core level areas in the game. So like you will have, if you were like level 5 to 10, you will have maybe a big area within that certain zone that's in that level range. But you may also have spots that are a lot higher level range, and then you also may have some areas that extend that level range in other ways as well. So that's kind of how you're going to be doing it. It's more of a gut feeling. It's more of a just, you have to be paying attention and aware that you're not getting the experience you need or loot you need anymore. Yarn, do you have anything you want to add on to that?
Yeah, I just want to quickly backtrack to his previous question about what the difference is between WoW questing and Pantheon questing. Well, they have what they call dynamic questing that they're thinking about implementing, where you have multiple options provided to you. So, for instance, on the previous show that we did, we had Bazgrim, who was at TwitchCon. He got to play the game as one of the first, or the first community member, and we got to sit down and talk to him about it. So basically what this is it was an example. He went to this NPC, spoke to him, and he had to basically deliver some goods to the next town or whatever it was. And there was multiple ways that you could engage in this. You could either craft the cart, because the cart was broken, so you could craft a wheel. You could basically take the goods yourself and deliver them. And the third option I can't quite remember, but there's basically multiple options for you to handle certain quests. You can either do something craftable, you could do something where you go out and kill something, or you might be offered up to go and deliver the package yourself. So that's part of the dynamic questing system. And those are one of the things that make this game uniquely different. And the behaviors and Sacred said, the perception system as well is another unique system where you can choose to become what they call a keeper, which would basically give you a higher perception. You would be able to keep track on things, kind of like a special logbook. But the great thing about this is, as well, it's almost like you're in a movie. You have your star of the film. The film gets halfway through. All of a sudden, he meets a co-star that becomes part of this story, and that's how the perception system kind of works. Sacred could start off with a perception quest, go through that, go to the second perception quest or the follow-up quest to that, to the third, and meet you, and you can jump right in and carry on this adventure together without having the previous steps. So that kind of makes a big difference compared to what we're used to nowadays, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so it just brings a different way of, so there's still, so like the way I kind of was taking it before is that there is no quests at all. Like there's, you just go out and you kill things, you do, what Sacred was saying is, jobs here and there. But I guess it makes sense that there are some types of quests in the game. It's not just you go out in the world and you go, you find stuff yourself, you level, there is some kind of, I guess, pattern in your progression.
But basically, there are quests in the game, but there's fewer quests. Quests are going to be meaningful, tell a larger story. And another thing to add as well is, like it was mentioned in chat and Sacred said, there's no quest hubs. So there's no exclamation marks or feathers above the heads telling you, hey, come over here. They're going to approach this in multiple ways, audio, visual indicators, or visual indicators. So you might see a young boy sitting next to a tree in tears, crying. So that kind of gives you like a hint. Maybe I might have to go over there and speak to this young man and see what is up. And it might start a dialogue with you. So they've kind of brought immersion to it. So you feel like, you're actually a part of this world, and you go out and make your own adventure.
Okay. Yeah, that kind of answers my question a little bit more. To kind of satisfies my my curiosity as to how exactly they're gonna you progress through the world. Like it's more of like you were saying, an immersion thing than, okay, follow these linear quests until you get to a certain point and now you can go somewhere else and do the same thing. So that's cool. So it's more of a just a big picture thing instead of picking up the breadcrumbs as you go along.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, and just so it's noted, that's why I brought Yarn in here, because my explanation versus his explanation, there's always a difference.
Kind of confused me a bit.
Well, no, that's good though, because it's one of those things where, so Pantheon, we all look at it the same way, but we interpret some of the information a little differently because we're not in the game. Again, because we're not in the game, it sometimes gets a little bit confusing, because you can't give a scenario or a situation or an example. Really, unlike Baz is one of the few individuals at this point in time who can actually give an example that he's seen in the game. And so that's a great point. I'm glad that you were to bring that up, Yarn. But for the most of us, we don't have that experience yet, so we can't give those examples. So on that note, and like I said, I wanted to try to keep this pretty short, so I'll look to wrap it up here in a second. But I did want to ask, is there anything else that stood out to you as like, I don't understand this, that since we got Yarn here, we might be able to help answer?
I guess I'd have to honestly just let it kind of unravel a little more before I can start, questioning more things about it. It's already sparked my interest that, they're going about all this very differently. I never took part in any of either of the EverQuest games, so I never really had like that kind of MMO. I've, like I said, I've pretty much only known, how WoW is, and it does get repetitive. It gets boring after a while, where it's just like, all right, yeah, I went on to a new place, yeah, I'm progressing, but it's the same thing, over and over and over again. And you just kind of get, like you mentioned, you kind of get numb. You kind of, it kind of gets dull, and it makes you want to be like, oh well, maybe I'll start a new character. Maybe I'll, try to spice things up by doing this, that, and the other thing. But you know, I don't know. I look forward to learning more about how they're gonna do everything.
Sweet.
Yes,
Okay.
it's all going to be interesting for all of us.
That's true.
How they do it. Yeah.
Well, Yarn, is there anything on this? I know it's really late for you, and I appreciate you, staying up. That's one thing too. I will point out just for everybody watching. So, Yarn is staying up, and it's what time now at your place?
It's 20 to 5 in the morning.
Okay, so it's about to be 5 in the morning. Where Yarn's at, and he basically volunteered to stay up just so he could chat to one person and kind of help educate, myself and others on Pantheon a little bit. But it's so funny because Yarn is one of many, and now I prefer to have Yarn here, but Yarn's one of many in the community that would be willing to do this. And that's just kind of the community that's already been established. And, especially like VIP section of the community and others. But it's insane to me that this game has not even released yet. And I've got people that are literally beating down the door saying, how can we help spread the word? How can we help talk to people about this? What can we do? And they're willing to do things like Yarn is right now, which is just incredible to me to think of, that people nowadays in 2017 are still willing to, contribute to a community online like that. So I can't thank you enough, Yarn, for being on and helping us out with this. I really appreciate it. Because like I was saying a minute ago, Satori is one of my good friends. I've really got to know him through gaming even better over the last, couple years now. And I've really enjoyed playing with him, and I'm hoping that I can, kind of sucker him into playing Pantheon with me. So any help I get, I'm definitely happy about that. So for anybody watching, if y'all have a chance to go visit Satori's Twitch page and follow him and bug him about Pantheon, do it every chance you get. But Yarn, is there anything you want to end this on or say before we take off?
No, thanks for having me.
All right.
I'm more than welcome to come on and chit chat about Pantheon anytime, any day.
Well, we know that's a fact. So I personally love your shows, and let me see if I'm trying to pull it up real quick. Where do I have that saved at? Pantheon, Twitch, VOT. So I'm going to link the VOT stream in the chat here as well for anybody that's curious. Yeah, I'm sure everybody here is following Voices of Terminus. So if you're not though already, and you would like to follow another great streaming show for Pantheon, please go check out Pantheon Voice of Terminus. And they do a show now. Are you still doing it every Thursday, or are you kind of switching it up a little bit on us?
Till the end of the year, every Thursday. Okay. And then as of 2018, it will be Fridays.
Oh, nice. Okay. All right. So every Thursday, if you have a chance, guys, be sure to stop by. Follow Yarn and the rest of the crew at Pantheon_VOT on Twitter. And again, check them out. Make sure you go watch their YouTube videos. Really some awesome stuff. I think, what are you at now, Yarn? It's 100, 200. It seems like 1,000 videos.
It definitely feels like that. So we have officially 96 shows, a couple of videos on there, and then obviously Tavern Talk. Yeah. So we're about 130 videos or something like that.
That's awesome, man. Well, yeah, it's definitely a lot of content, a lot of really good discussions with a lot of really interesting people as well. VOT has brought on a lot of really respectable and interesting folk from the community to talk about Pantheon and stuff like that, including myself, which is probably one of the least important videos you can watch. But they allowed me to be on there one time as well. So again, guys, go check them out. Follow Satori, follow Voice of Terminus, and we're gonna get into some games now, me and Satori, and try to figure out what's going on with PUBG. But I appreciate everybody stopping by, and more than welcome to stay and hang out. Yarn, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. Anytime.
All right, guys. Well, I'll wrap it up for that, and then we'll move over to PUBG. So
sounds good. Yarn,
right.
appreciate it, man.
You're welcome, man.